Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome back to Learn to Read Quran. So inshallah today we're going to look at this page. So this is Unit 6A, which is the Sukoon. And so far what we've done is, we've covered a lot, mashallah. We've done our letters, we've done fatha, damma, kasra, we've doubled them. So we've had the tanween of fatha, the tanween of kasra, the tanween of damma. So today we're going to look at letters when they have no vowel on them. And they have what's called a sukoon. And the sukoon is actually this. See this little sort of sideways V thing that you can see on some of these letters here, the ones I'm circling. So that is the sukoon. And what the sukoon does, it does a couple of things actually. I'll just rub that out so we can see these letters properly when we're going to look at them. So the sukoon does a few things. It will allow you to join up the sound from the letter before it to the letter with sukoon. Don't worry, if this sounds like too much explanation, I think it will be clearer once we actually start reading the words, but let me just give you some explanation first. So that's one of the things that Sukoon will allow you to do. It will allow you to join up to that letter, the one that has the Sukoon, so you can join one sound to another. Because so far what we've done is we've just done separate sounds like a, ba, ta. We haven't joined any of the sounds together. So this is how in Arabic you get to join one sound to another. And the other thing that's the letter with the sukoon, you just hear the very initial sound of the letter. And again, if that sounds a bit confusing, I think I'm going to stop the explanation now and I'm actually going to start reading so you can see how that works. So we'll start with line 1. And here is the first letter. We have an alif with a hamza at the bottom, and underneath that is the kesra. So it's effectively a hamza with a kesra, and I know you all know that that's an e noise. Now we've got the letter val, and it has this sukoon on it. And so listen how I will actually do this. So I'm just going to remove the markings that I've made here because I want to show you how this works. I will take the E noise and I will join it up to the noise. So it becomes is. So the E joined to the V of val and I got is. Okay, let's carry on because I think with more examples it should inshallah become clearer. So here I've got the letter ba with a fatha, that's ba. Then I've got a lam with a sukoon. So that's just l, because that's, if I said the word lam, the beginning noise of the lam is just l, isn't it? It's just the L noise, if you like. So I'm going to join the ba to the l, and I get bel. I joined ba to l, I got bel. Okay, I'm going to carry on. An a with a fatha joining to a m, because this is meme. So the beginning sound of meme is m. You see how that worked? I started with the a noise and I joined it up to the m. Then I've got the e noise here and I'm going to join it to a n noise here. So I get in. Then I've got qaf with an u, so u, and I'm joining it to a lam noise, so a l noise. Qul. So I'm going to read this line again, and inshallah, hopefully, as you practice, hopefully this concept should slot into place. So I'll start again here. I've got is. I'll do that again. Sometimes it comes out as the wrong sound on the recording for some reason. I'll do it again. Is. Bel. Am. In. Qul. So you can hear that I'm able to join one sound to another. There's no gap of sound between the first letter and the second in each of these examples. I'm not, for example, if I take this last one here, I'm not saying u l. I've got seamless sound. Qul. The two sounds have come together. I'll carry on. Like I said, sometimes too much explanation can be too much explanation. So sometimes it can work better for you to see how it works in practice. So here we've got a ta with a fatha, and underneath it here, I hope you all recognize that, is the ha, and it's the ha that's got the sukoon. So ta with a ha noise, with an H noise here, dah. And then the ta at the end with the fatha, that doesn't get to join. Yeah, you only get to join from the letter before the sukoon to the letter with the sukoon. Too many markings again. Let's take some of these off. So I've got ta, ta. And so you can see that you get to join to the letter with the sukoon only from the letter before it. You don't just start joining everything up. Okay, I'll carry on. I've got hu joining to k, hook, mu. I've got ri joining to z, riz, on. I've got me joining to th, myth, la. Line 3. I've got a joining to m here. So I've got Then here I've got c joining to k, sick. So there's two places where letters are joining. Here you've got these first two, then the next two, sick. Okay, I'll carry on. Yeah with the fatha noise. So yeah joining to s, yes. A, lu. So like I said, you don't just join up everything, you only join to the letter that has the sukoon, and in this case that was the sin. Me joining to n, min. Hu joining to m, hum. So the whole of this word, min, hum. Okay, I've got a ya here. Those are the two dots of ya with a fatha, and that's joining to this letter here, which is the kha, and it's got the sukoon. So again, too messy. Let's take some of them off. You've got yakh, ru, ju. So the whole of that word, yakh, ru, ju. Line 4. Ha, lal, the la to the la again. Tum, ha, lal, tum. Ka, ta, bat. So the ba joined to the t, bat. As. This is an a joining to a sad that has a sukoon. As, da, qu. Yav, lim. The whole of this word, yav, lim. Okay, then I've got ow. So the a noise is joining to the oh. This is in your throat. This letter is just at the top of the throat, and it always sounds like to me like somebody gargling. And in fact, I always say to my students, if you can't get some of these throat letters, that is actually the only way to exercise your throat muscles so they come under some element of your control to be able to pronounce these throat letters. So we've got oh, na. Did everyone spot this 2-count stretch? So we had a noon with a tiny little hanging elif. And remember, when we have these hanging elifs, you ignore the letter that the little hanging alif is written above, and it will usually be above a waw or a ya. Here in this case, it's a ya, isn't it? So the whole of this word again, al, na, with the two stretch. Okay, let's see. We'll move on. We've got some longer words here, but always just take it 2 letters at a time. If you think when you look at a word and you think, oh my gosh, there's just too many letters in here, I don't know what's going on. Don't panic. Just even if you need to take it 1 letter at a time. But now we're learning that you can join one letter to the sound of another. Sometimes it is helpful to look at 2 letters at a time because they might join, which they do in the case of this word here at the beginning. We have ar, the a joining to the ra. Now, let's just pause for a second because this is the first time we're looking at the sukoon, and we've spoken about this letter ra before. We've said that when a ra has a fatha or a damma, it is thick and heavy. When it has a kasra, it is light. When it has a sukoon, we have to be able to tell which is it. Is it thick and heavy? Is it light? Because it will make a difference. So I will look at the letter that I'm joining up to the ra with the sukoon with, and I'll see that it has what vowel it has. Here it has a fatha. So if you have a fatha or a damma before the ra, just as if the fatha or the damma was on the ra, it would make it heavy, then also a fatha or a damma joined up to a ra with sukoon will make that ra heavy in its pronunciation of the sukoon. Just as if you had a ra with a kasra, it would make it light. Therefore, if you have a kasra joining up to your ra with the sukoon, the ra will be light. I will add a caveat to that to say that ra is one of those amazing letters that you can literally write books and books and books about, because I've over simplified that rule there just as a starting point. There are many rules to ra, but this is a general rule of thumb. So here we have, let's take some of this off. Here we have the a joining to the r, and I now know that the ra is going to be thick and heavy, so I have ar. And you will do, if you can get it into your head that every letter with a sukoon, just give it a little bit more time, then you will be able to pinpoint the sound of that letter, and actually that letter will sound as it should, because every letter with sukoon, just give it a little bit more time. We haven't gone into this yet, but every letter in the Arabic alphabet has many different qualities to it, whether the sound flows through it, whether the breath flows through it, whether it's thick and heavy. We've talked about some of this, but when a letter has a sukoon, all of those qualities come out. So you need to give every letter with sukoon a little bit more time just so that you can hear those qualities. Like, for example, here, when I'm saying ar, and because I'm giving the ra some time, you can hear the thickness and the heaviness of that ra. So let's carry on with this word. Ju, li, kum. So the whole of that word is ar, ju, li, kum. Take some of that off. No one's going to be able to see what that word is with all of my scribblings on it. Okay. Then I have n joining to sh, nash. Can you hear? I gave it a little bit more time so you can hear the sound of that sheen spreading out through my mouth. Nash. Ha, do. Wa, yaf. A, lu. And here the fa with its sukoon, I gave it a bit more time, and you can hear all that breath that's running through the fa. The fa is quite a breathy letter, and it has a nice amount of sound that flows through it as well. So wa, yaf, a, lu. Then we move on to these lines. And you'll think to yourself, oh, Almas just likes a little bit of color coding. Well, they are color coded for a reason. We've talked about letters with sukoon and how you join up to them, and I've said give them a bit more time just so that you can hear the noise of each letter. Here on these letters on these lines where these letters are in blue, it's indicating a certain quality of these 5 letters. You can see you've got qaf, ta, ba, jim, dal. So those are 5 special letters: qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. When they have this sukoon on them, the place of where you make each of those letters is so tight that unless you open up that point of contact and let the sound jump out, you actually can't hear that letter. And this is a quality in Arabic known as qalqalah. I'll write that out. Well, this is obviously in the English. Qalqalah. So, qalqalah. That, I love that word. It looks really nice as well. It looks really kind of symmetrical. Anyway, so this is what these letters have. They have this quality of, some people call it a bounce, some people call it a vibration, but they have this bounce back of noise. And if I start reciting this, you'll see what I mean. So I've got fa, taq, u, da. If I don't bounce the sound back for the letter qaf, this is what you would hear. Fa, taq, u, da. So you can hear when I don't release the point of contact of my qaf, which is right at the back of my tongue, then you cannot hear the sound of that letter. And it is the same for each of these 5 letters: qaf, ta, ba, jim, dal. When they have a sukoon on them, you must bounce the sound back. So with that understanding, I will read these words to you. I will start again with this first word on line 6. I have fa, taq, u, da. I'll carry on. Naqa, the, fu. So you hear the bounce back on the qaf. So those are 2 examples with qaf. Now let's look at the 2 examples with the letter ta. Wata, an. 2 fathas on the hamza gave me an. If I didn't bounce the sound back, if I didn't release the tip of my tongue from the roof of my mouth, which is pressed really hard for the letter ta, if I didn't release that at the point of the sukoon, you would hear wat, and then you'd say, no, I can't hear that, because actually, no, you can't hear it until you actually release the tongue from the roof of the mouth and let the sound bounce back out again. You will not hear this letter when it has a sukoon. Wata, an. Let's look at the second example with the letter ta. So we've got the fa with the kasra joining to the ta. Fita, ra, ta. I'll read it again. Fita, ra, ta. And you can hear the thickness still of the ta when it has a sukoon. Line 7. Ya with the damma joining to the dal. Yudh. Hib, kum. So the letter dal and the letter mim, they're not in blue. I don't need to bounce those back because when a zal has a sukoon, it has a nice amount of noise that flows through it, so that can be easily heard. The letter mim, when it has a sukoon on it, it has a nice amount of sound, so it can be easily heard. The only one here that doesn't have any sound or even any breath that runs through it at the point of its contact is the letter ba, and that is because my two lips are pressed so hard to make the beginning of the ba. Until I open my lips, I don't get that sound flowing out. And that is essentially the idea behind each of these letters. The point of contact is so tight, no sound, no breath runs through them, and you have to bring this sound out. You have to vibrate it out. You have to bounce it out. So I'll read this word again. Yudhibkum. Let's look at the second example with the ba with the sukoon. Qablu. Again, if I didn't bounce the sound back, you'd hear qablu. So you wouldn't be able to tell what letter had the sukoon. It wouldn't be clear. And really, that is one of the main reasons for studying how to read the Quran properly in its Arabic, is to make each of Allah's words clear, and so that there's no misunderstanding of what the word could be. Qablu. So you can see this letter kha that we're about to join up to from the hamza, it doesn't have the blue, which means that it's not a bounce back letter. It's not a qalqalah letter, which means that it has some element of sound and breath. It has both, in fact, has both breath and sound that come through it at its point of contact. So you can hear that. Zij. Now the jeem is so tight between the middle of my tongue to the roof of my mouth that until that tongue releases down, I don't hear the jeem at all. So jeem, it's not the z noise that you get like in French. It's not z. It is quite a tight noise. Rij. Last line. Li. Tej. Ri. Ya. And now these final two examples are with the letter dal. So I've got wa, la, qad. Again, if I didn't bounce back, I'd get wa, la, qad. And you would not be able to tell what that last letter was if you were only listening and you couldn't see what the letter had been written as. So wa, la, qad. And then the last example, wa, ud, khi, la. So this was a full page of looking at this new concept called the sukoon. We've learned that we can join up to letters that have this sukoon written on them, that we should give every letter with sukoon a little bit more time, just so that its qualities of its letters show. And in this basic course, we don't go too deeply into learning the qualities by heart, but I will point them out to you. I'll point out the main ones to you as we come across them, just to make the learning process easier. And then we also saw that there are 5 letters, qaf, ba, ba, jim, and dal, that you need to have this bounce back. You need to have this qalqalah. You need to have a vibration that comes after the point of contact with that letter. This is not an easy concept, I think, for some people. So I really would encourage you to go over this lesson as many times as you can, so that you can understand exactly how this concept of sukoon works. Don't give up, you can do it, and practice is the key. And inshallah, I look forward to seeing you next time. Assalamu alaikum.